as well, and they have had long-term huge impact on the city, and now um, impacting other cities across Canada. So Wendy is leading the charge here in Ottawa, and I I'm excited to hear some of the plans that I know are developing as CityKidz begins to think beyond their initial kind of neighborhood area they've been working in, but also to be encouraged about what has happened in Overbrook as well. So, Wendy, thanks for setting this up for us today, and God bless you as you share with us.
Well, thank you, Richard. And I'm glad I called in all my buddies since I've been here in Ottawa. There's Richard and Ruth and Les and everybody that have joined me, and I'm thankful for their help because CityKidz is not something that is a one-person job to do. It's a ministry that is not just for the local people, but it's for the entire city. So I'm grateful for their help. So I'm just going to switch over to a PowerPoint, and we can all do a little prayer right now that this is going to work. It's just, for me, it's a little visual this way, and I hope you don't mind. I'm just going to go over a few things about CityKidz and what we've been doing in Ottawa since we began, and plus the mission. And hopefully this is going to open. And if you can't see that, just let me know, but I'm sure you can all see that now.
There you go. Looking good.
So this is our mission statement, really. If you're going to narrow it down to one very small sentence, we are here to transform Ottawa one child at a time. We believe in relationship. We believe that every child matters to us and to God, and that by working with one child, if we can just change his or her trajectory and instill some values, that that child will be one that grows up and thrives and becomes filled with faith, and also contributes back to the city. There is a thing called the cycle of despair, and if you've worked with people that are living in poverty, this is one thing you probably are well aware of, and that is the beginning. If we just let a child down once or twice, that may be considered to be just disappointment. If we dump a whole bunch of disappointment one after the other on top of a child, it becomes discouragement, and that is very evident in families that live in poverty because they are disappointed all the time. So then they get to this stage of discouragement, and if that discouragement is never alleviated, then we come to a place of defeat. And when they are defeated, that is when we tend to lose them. Children between the ages of 0 and 12 are usually still filled with a lot of hope and faith. But by the time they get to be, I've seen it in even happening in younger kids, 10 to 12, where they are so defeated that this is when they start slipping back and start following the patterns of their parents or an inappropriate peer group. So 1 in 5 children in Ottawa lives in poverty. And in the areas that we're impacting, 1 in 2 children in Overbrook and Caldwell live in poverty. So as I said, CityKidz is here to inspire, instill, and impact. We are promoting resilience, and because we're faith-based, obviously, we believe that faith, hope, and love are really the secret sauce, if you will, that is going to help that child become resilient and overcome the adversity that they're experiencing in their life. We exist to increase resiliency, and we do that by inspiring big dreams. And we do that through inspirational experiences and nurturing personal relationships, one child at a time. That's our formal statement. It's on our website if you ever wanted to go there and have a look. I put this slide in because I know that I'm preaching to the choir, but often when I'm having discussions with people in the secular world, we are able to just kind of let people know that really scientific study does back the fact that faith really plays a positive role in resilience building. And it gives children the enhanced ability to deal with negative life situations. It gives them a sense of control and an understanding, and it provides protection of their identities and positive sense of self. So you can see faith is not just for the faith community, faith is also for the secular community as well to embrace, because as we develop this, our program with these children, whether they are church or not church, they are learning that how to have faith and how to believe in themselves and how to overcome. So actually what the secular community really grabs onto this, because they realize that it's not just about faith, it's not about proselytizing, it's about helping a child do better. Okay. So one of the ways that we do it, and I've already touched on this a little bit, it's called what we call the cycle of hope. And again, we're talking about inspiring children to dream big, to think beyond their circumstances. And we instill positive values in these children, faith values, Christian values into these children. We talk about God, and we encourage them to believe in God. And we believe that once they're inspired and instilled, this will impact their outcomes in their future, and they will become better adults. And some of the indicators of that success is they will stay in school, they will contribute back to their community, and they will have a hopeful outlook for their future. Now, the actual programming, now this is all pre-COVID, I'm just letting you know. So we have a home visit program, which is a weekly visit at the child's door. Once the child is registered with us, we go door to door and every week, and we just touch base with the child. We see how they're doing. The visit is for the child, not for the parents that are in the house, although many times the parents will just be standing around and we get to know them as well. This makes the child feel special and loved, and it also gives us an opportunity to build a relationship with the child in their home environment. We remove all our barriers of getting our children to our Saturday program, which I'll talk about in a second, through providing a free bus. And rather than just picking them up on a corner somewhere, we actually go door to door every Saturday when we hold the playhouse and pick them up. And we have volunteer support on the bus, so they're all safe, and they're walked, they're escorted from the door to the bus every single time they get on. The Saturday Playhouse is a really fun and interactive program that involves games and food and just a lot of fun for the children. Takes them out of their stress situation at home. It provides a meal for them, so they're eating, they're happier. But it also, this is the place where we can instill the values into them through our programming, which for any of you who have ever had a vacation Bible school or have held camp, this is probably an example of what a VBS would be like, only on Saturdays and at a much higher level. Sometimes I refer to it as a VBS on steroids. It's good. It's a lot of fun. The kids have a blast. We have food programs, which usually every Saturday we actually provide a pizza and snack and a drink for the kids so they can have something to eat. We provide food for them on the bus as well. And lately with COVID, we have been making sure that they're being fed by providing gift cards to Loblaws and that sort of thing as they need it. City Youth is a program for children 12 to 15 years old. These kids are kids that have gone through the CityKidz program and have graduated and want to stay in touch with what we're doing. We currently have about 10 or 15 City Youth right now, and we are still meeting with them via Zoom every week. Our Summer to Remember program is a place for children to go to camp. We partner with different camps in the area and partner with them, and we send children to camp every summer. And we've actually partnered with Camp Iowa in the last several years, and it's been a wonderful experience for our children. And they're really growing. And some of our kids, some of our youth this year are going to the Tall Ships Camp in Kingston, COVID permitting. Our Gift of Christmas program involves a toy drive and making sure that the children are receiving a beautiful gift every year. We partner with different churches in the area to provide this toy drive, to provide gifts. And last Christmas, we actually partnered with Toy Mountain. And so we were not only able to provide a special gift just for them, but also other gifts from Toy Mountain. So they ended up receiving this large red bag at Christmas time. And they eventually got about 2 gifts each, and not just for them, but for their younger siblings as well. Operation Birthday, we usually hold a birthday party every month when we're having the Playhouse. Every child receives a small gift, but since COVID has been going, we have actually just been giving each child a card and a $10 gift card to Tim Hortons. And we've also been providing a monthly birthday draw where one of the children for the birthday in that month will get a special prize. So we do have success stories, and we've been around for 10 years. So I'm starting to have some stories of where children are actually coming through the program and achieving success as they leave. One of our junior leaders just recently told me, her name is Ellie, that we've actually been talking about the show The Chosen, and we've been talking about faith. And she said to us the last time we had a Zoom meeting that she feels lighter since she has been getting to know Jesus. Jeff is a boy that comes to CityKidz, who I've been seeing still periodically through home visits even during COVID. And he likes to learn new things when he comes to CityKidz. He finds it a place where he can learn things about God and just about doing the right thing. Believe it or not, he actually likes that. And then Becca, who is age 11, says that she feels cared for at CityKidz. So CityKidz is transforming all of these children's lives. One of our girls that became, she was a young girl. She started with us when she was 10 or 11. She's now older. She was diagnosed with oppositional defiant disorder, and she was in a single parent family. She says, I've been changing because I've learned how to control my emotions, and I've been learning how to react. I've learned how to respond to bullies because of CityKidz. And one of our advisors, who is a family therapist, said the CityKidz' relational faith model is helping Danica a great deal through attachment. So what are we doing during the pandemic? So we've been doing a lot of pivoting, as I'm sure most of you have all been experiencing that as well. We have, as I touched on a little bit earlier, we have been continuing our enhanced in-home visits year-round. They're all socially distanced. We have approximately 8 volunteers that are involved in that. And during the fall and the spring, we've been having what we call a fun squad, which I'll get into a little bit later. We've been giving the children weekly activity sheets. They received a craft care package in March last year. We gave them pumpkins in the fall and pajamas in the winter. And we just recently did an initiative with Pray Ottawa for a Pray for One Another prayer bears, where they all prayed for each other and received a prayer bear in thanks. Operation Birthday, I already talked about this. And the Gift of Christmas, I already mentioned that as well. So our Fun Squad 2021, we have plans for the spring for this year, although currently we're not running anything because of the lockdown. We were originally supposed to start on April the 17th, but we pushed that date back into May. But this is from last fall, and it was just an opportunity for us to bring a little bit of CityKidz to the front door. We actually moved, you see that wagon, we filled that wagon up with toys and games and all kinds of paraphernalia and dropped it off with the kids, and they had fun. So they had a little bit of a lesson and a gift that was given to them. This spring, we're actually going to be providing some social distancing games at our Fun Squad. Our program is going to be about hope. I really feel that it's important that the children learn to maintain their hope. If anything, they're probably getting a little dismayed. And we give them food and a poster this year, and giveaways would be things like balloons. We're also going to be continuing with our birthday contest, and we're going to be having a pizza party contest as well for each kid. So where we began, this is actually pictures of us when we first started at CityKidz in 2010. This is our first location at the Hardini Center. And it is in the lecture room. And if you work in the Hardini Center, you're probably well acquainted with this. We started with 20 kids and about 6 volunteers. And that was actually our first bus trip of one family she was coming to check it out. And so we've really come a long way since then. We went from 20 kids, we have about 80 kids now. The research has been indicating that we have 80% that have been thriving in the midst of adversity and are confident that God loves them. This is research that was done a few years ago by us. 100% demonstrated their increased faith and believe that God loves them unconditionally. 70% said that they have learned skills that have increased their self-worth. 90% have demonstrated an increased resilience. And 70% have said that they have access to positive peer relationships. So currently we're impacting two areas. One is Overbrook and one is Caldwell. We've been in Overbrook since 2010. And 29% of the families are single parents, and 1 in 2 children live in poverty in both these areas. They're also rated number 5 on the socioeconomic scale in Ottawa. In Overbrook, we have 75 children and 10 youth approximately. And in Caldwell, we have 15 children. And we just started up in Caldwell just before COVID hit. So we've been maintaining all of our enhanced home visits and so on, but none of these kids in Caldwell have actually been to a playhouse yet. So we're praying for this pandemic to be over soon. Our growth strategy is how do you expand something like CityKidz? CityKidz is we're not here to just work in one area. We believe that we've been called to impact all the children across the city. And so like last year, I did up a neighborhood analysis of all the different neighborhoods that are in Ottawa. The 2 that I've highlighted in yellow are probably next on my hit list. As we continue to grow, we're going to grow into these hot spots of the areas. So we're just looking for opportunities to find a location that may be more centrally located. Plus, we would also have to add in buses. We would need volunteers for those areas as well. But as you see in Overbrook, the number of children that are living in poverty, there's 1,700. And in Carlington, there's 836. In Bayshore, there's 1,014 and 1,665 in Ledbury. So there's a real need out there. And we're only impacting 100 kids across the city. And there are actually 32,000 children that are living in poverty in Ottawa. So you can make a difference. I'm sure you're wondering how. I've already appreciated some of the comments that you've made about how you think of ways that maybe we can work together. You can provide time through volunteering, which is always very rewarding. You can provide your talent also through this guy's driving the bus. So we don't need bus drivers here, but there are, we could use new people that are working like stage people or sound and technology. You can give financially. You can also join our child sponsorship program, which is $35 a month for one child. And I know that all of you here are here because you believe that our city is something that God is calling to work together. And I believe that what we're doing as CityKidz is we want to work with the churches to be able to further the kingdom of God and to reach those children that are not necessarily going to step through the doors of your church, but who may be interested, who may want to a very low-key way of outreach and impacting children over a period of time so that they can develop a faith. And so we need the help of the church to do that. We are the light of the world, and a city on a hill cannot be hidden. And I really believe that this is something that God has called Ottawa to be. Our dream, we have 3 branches across Canada, and we are praying that every child in Canada will be touched and reached by CityKidz or by the Lord. And that is our biggest dream. And wouldn't that be a miracle? So thank you for watching.
Thank you, Wendy. That was quite a good overview. Just double checking. And by the way, welcome, Jen. Nice to have you here from Fusion Youth.
Hello.
We got your note in the chat area.
Yeah. Meeting went a little long, so sorry I was late. I was like,
That's okay.
No problem. We introduced everybody earlier, so that's why I just mentioned kind of how you're connected. And part of Greenbelt Church. Wendy, I wasn't sure whether we were going to show a video today. That was a really wonderful PowerPoint viewpoint. Would you like to show a video as well?
I don't know. It's 22. I don't know if we're going to, it's only 2 minutes long, but it might be worthwhile watching it.
I think it's a great video done by a local video producer, right?
Yes.
Are you able to cue that up?
Yeah.
Give us a
Doing
chance.
that right now.
Probably got to share your screen.
Yep. Hold on, sorry. Just talk amongst yourselves for a second.
No problem.
I feel your pain.
You might also want to check sharing the audio. I know when you share a video, you also have to sometimes share the audio also.
Okay, here we go. Sorry. Can you all see that?
Hi, I'm Jen.
I'm Lexus.
And I'm a CityKidz mom.
Oops.
At the beginning, I was really hesitant on letting Lexus go to CityKidz. We had gotten a flyer in our mail. Seemed great, looked great, but it kind of seemed a little bit, iffy. It was, a free program for the kids to go to. I've never heard of it before. There was never any advertising of it before. But then Wendy had come to our door a couple of weeks later talking about the program, and a few other kids in the neighborhood had also gone. So I was, okay, like my oldest daughter, she was 11, so I was like, all right, we'll try it out. And she's loved it. She had so much fun ever since. More and more kids go every week. We were allowed to go as parents to go and see what went on. And it was just that much more comfortable on letting them go. Once Jahidi was old enough to go, then he went as well, and they have fun every week. It's not, oh well, do you think my mom's going to be able to take me there? Or do you think I'm going to be able to go because I don't have the money to go, or I don't have the transportation to go? They don't have to worry about that. They get to be kids. And that's just a huge part in here, like in this area, is a lot of the kids have to grow up so fast and don't get to be kids just because of where they're coming from. I'm Jen, and I'm a CityKidz mom.
Excellent.
That's great.
Yeah.
Thank
It's-
you.
Yeah, it's good to get the kind of personal angle from somebody that's benefited from the program. And I wanted to ask, I said the rest of our time together, I'm just going to spend a few moments specifically interviewing Ruth Sorby. Her name's Harold on the screen right now. I think her husband's in the background there. But then we'll have just general Q&A that we could ask you. You can either put a question in the chat. Even now, you can start putting a question in the chat, or you can ask it personally. I think we got a small enough crowd we can do that. But Ruth, thanks for being willing to give us some perspective from local church pastoral angle. As you said in the beginning, you've known Wendy from the beginning. In fact, I think I went to the first launch of the event with you guys, and you provided a spaghetti supper to help us get started there at the Hardini Center where you meet and where CityKidz started. So what would you say to other pastors about what you've seen? What's the value of CityKidz to a local church?
Kids are very special to me and to my heart. And probably because as a child, I was reached. We had neighbors that reached out to us and that took us to Sunday school for years before my parents gave their hearts to the Lord and started going. We had neighbors that prayed for their neighborhood and were very conscientious to be there to help our family, to encourage our family in every number of ways, from babysitting us kids to bringing over a loaf of homemade bread or some homemade baked goods. So I saw the love of God as a young child. I started to go to probably church events 4 or 5 years old. And I wouldn't be where I am today if that family hadn't reached out to me. So I see the benefits of CityKidz. I've seen Wendy and her team, how they've loved these kids, how they've provided for them, and how that connection is so important for the kids to see Wendy and her team every week at their door. I know for myself, when I was going to the church without my parents, my connection was a Sunday school teacher. And I so wanted to be connected with them. I was young, and it was such a great experience for me to have someone outside of my home that loved me and cared for me in that setting. And so I see Wendy and her team doing this, and it's just it really touches my heart to see that and to see how many kids are being encouraged. And even over the years, as we've pastored, kids ministry has always been really important to me. I always want kids to feel important. I always want them to feel like church and their meetings are important. Anything that we do for them, that they're their top priority. And Wendy is donating or giving of her time to these children, and I just I don't think there's any better investment. And we know that there's so much potential in these kids, and we want to see them reach their potential, and only time will tell where these kids are going to end up. And but it's encouraging just for me to have seen. I've attended a few meetings to see what she's done and what she's doing, and she inspires me. CityKidz inspires me.
Beautiful. Like, you can tell that we'd asked Ruth to think about what she was going to say in answer to that question. What's your sense about, like, I think we saw on the screen, there's 58 families, maybe 59 families in Overbrook, which is the area your church is located in. Are you seeing any kind of way that that's also blessing your church or impacting your community?
Well, we actually have some families that are from that area over in the housing development where Wendy picks up children. we have some families that attend our church regularly that are from that area. And I don't know as if their children are attending. I don't think their children are attending CityKidz at the moment, but we do have families that live over there, and we see the needs that are there for sure in that area.
Right, and I think what that tells me is that you're probably doing Sunday ministry with children, and Wendy, of course, CityKidz is a Saturday ministry. So working alongside of each other, you're impacting a larger number of families and kids in Overbrook. And I'm guessing that Natalie from Shiloh Holiness Church is probably seeing, another group of families being impacted in Overbrook because your church is located there as well. So maybe I'll just open it up for anybody to ask some questions about CityKidz, and expect Wendy or one of her team can probably answer our questions. If not, it's okay. Don't have to solve the world's problems and solve every child's problems in Ottawa today.
Richard, I might just say, we also really feel that we don't have to reinvent the wheel, and that we wanted to support Wendy in this effort in that area. And so when we do have events in the church, like a free barbecue on July the 1st, Wendy always gives out flyers to all her families, and they're all invited. And we ask people to let us know if they're part of the CityKidz program or not. Also, over the years, we've seen that our church board has become very excited about what Wendy is doing, and now she receives regular help, financial help from the church, which was really exciting for us to see. Not just that my husband and I had the vision, but other people in the church began to get the vision for it and said, we need to do something on a regular basis. And because we're close by, we also we've allowed Wendy to use our facility during the week for the youth program for her city youth.
Beautiful.
And, so we just say use what we have. And so those are ways that we've been able to help out.
That's great.
In a tangible way.
And giving financially is kind of the ultimate vote of confidence. So it's good to hear that.
Yeah.
So thank you, Ruth. That's awesome. Do others have some questions for CityKidz?
I do. So yeah, as Richard said, I'm Jen Outhouse, and I run a ministry called, my home church is Greenbelt, and I'm the associate pastor of discipleship there. That's a new role, but I have also been running Fusion Youth Ministry, which is a partnership actually of 4 churches here in the city. And I have a bunch of Christian teenagers who need something to do. And so really great things about CityKidz through Diane Vanderputten, I think, like a while back. Like she had spoken to me about it, and you've always sort of been kind of out there, and I, every once in a while hearing stuff. But and then my daughter went to Camp Iowa a few summers ago, and she said, oh yeah, she's like, they bust in a bunch of kids from this place called CityKidz, and I was like, that's so interesting. So I feel like God has been putting you guys on my heart, like, for a reason. And especially in light of COVID right now, like I said, we have really been struggling. We have an amazing group of teenagers. We have, actually have been averaging around 40 or so teenagers online. Our ministry has been online for a year. They are antsy. And they are an amazing group of young people. And we've just been really feeling for a while that we would love to provide them with opportunities to serve. And that's been a real challenge with a lot of our churches being solely online right now, that a lot of our students that were serving in roles in the church, those roles have essentially disappeared for a lot of them. And so right now they're growing in their faith, and I feel like they really need an opportunity to serve. And especially I'm looking at this summer, where we don't typically run our youth ministry over the summer months, but they are chomping at the bit to get together to do stuff. And I just thought to myself, I'm like, I wonder if there's an opportunity for service that will both accomplish them getting out and seeing people, but also doing something for the kingdom as
Well, just to, yes. Yes, so it's, we've actually been recruiting volunteers for our fun squad, and the only stipulation is that these kids have to be 16 and up. Okay, so the younger group, we're sort of harvesting out of the children that we have coming out of CityKidz, and so we have a lot there, and I don't really have the capacity to bring on more kids from the 12 to 15 age in terms of our junior leadership program, which is kids that are 12 to 15 that are volunteering. But for our actual program starting in the fall, we're looking for people that are 16 and up that can work on the stage and do stage work and do presentations and are comfortable doing that sort of thing, also in the audience as well, to help out. So if they're 16 and up, we're just, I'll let you know, I'll send you the link and they can make an application.
Yeah, no, we definitely have some like that. So we have and those were mainly, it was our senior students that I was thinking of. And we definitely have one, I haven't spoken to her about this yet, but she basically, just emceed, no other name. She's extremely comfortable on stage and super strong in her faith.
Hey, Jen, just send her over.
All right.
Yeah.
I'll be happy to meet her.
So yeah, so just, I guess for me, it was just trying to make that connection to see is there a way that we can, partner up and see about
absolutely
giving you guys some support.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great, Jen. That's the kind of input that I'm sure Wendy's super happy to hear about. Does anybody else have questions? I know we probably have about 5 more minutes. And I'm sure if you want to stay around after the hour, after 1 o'clock, you can probably stay on the call and ask more personal questions too. So, but anybody else? Prince.
It's Prince here. Wendy, thanks for your presentation. I was wondering, perhaps maybe I missed it, but I was wondering how you recruit or select kids once you get into the neighborhood. And also if you can share with us any challenges you might have experienced in your line of work.
Well, how we recruit the children is when we first began, we literally went door to door and knocked on the door and provided an opportunity for a free program. The one thing that really, one of the barriers for many children that are unchurched and many people that have been either hurt by the church is the fact that a church, we are held in a church. And so we tried to find a more neutral location so that in our messaging to the families and our parents, they would realize that this is not something that we're trying to, we have to be very low key and approach the children and the families that way, because many of them have had extreme hurts over the years. And it's a whole process of developing relationship and building trust. So that's the huge obstacle, is the fact that we cannot just go knock on the door and give them a Bible and say, here, Jesus said. We have to build relationship with the families, and it's long-term. It's not a process where it's overnight. But in the process over the last 10 years, I've actually had opportunity to bring 2 families to faith. And both of those families, it was not just one person. The thing that I'm really noticing is it's entire families that are coming in all at once. And both groups were actually baptized at Peace Tower, which is the church that I attend. And one I've lost touch with, but the other is I'm still working with. But that was after several years of relationship building and showing up at the door and not judging and not proselytizing and just being there to care. They always knew that we were Christian. There was never anything hidden about that. They knew that the program was Christian, but we never hit them over the head with that fact, right? And so when they realized that, oh yes, I can trust Wendy and I care for her and she cares for my kids. So I guess maybe Jesus and God are things that I should consider pursuing as well.
Very good.